How you doing, everybody? It's Wednesday, April the 14th, 2010, and it's still a beautiful day here in Ireland. Extraordinary that there's not 2 days that, as I say, are similar, but they are, and they say it's going to be like this for the rest of the week. Hopefully it will. Hope it's not our summer, but anyway, we should be thankful for whatever respite we get from the weather here in Ireland. But it's a beautiful day, let's say. I just want to talk about a couple of things today. I want to talk about an international thing, which is Greece and the bonds. Had the bond situation yesterday, bond market offering yesterday, and then I want to talk about a couple of things related to Ireland, and one of them in particular is a sort of what would you call it, a personal favourite of mine. So anyway, yeah, Greece had a bond auction yesterday, and I was just looking at some of the figures. Incredible figures, absolutely incredible. They sold how much did they sell? They sold 1.56 billion euros yesterday, and but it was the interest rates they were offering to get the sales. Incredible interest rates. They were offering 4.85 for 52 week bonds. That's for 1 year, and for 26 week bills, 26 week bonds. Imagine 6 month bonds. They're offering 4.55. So if you think about it, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. Like, you don't have to do any work. If you have all this money sitting somewhere, you just give it to the Greeks, and they're not going to default. You know they're not going to default. You're going to get your money back plus 5% at the end of the year. So it's truly incredible. It's unbelievable stuff. So anyway, of course the Greek people have to pay for it. At the end of the day, that's who pays for it. That's where it comes from. That's where the interest is paid out of the Greek people's hides, as it were. So anyway, I put links up to all these things, so it's fairly straightforward to follow. Okay, where it's going to go, Greece, we don't know, but looks like they're not going to default or any of that stuff, and they're too small. It says it in the article. It's true. They're too small. The amounts involved are too small. Be like Ireland. It's not. It's only a crisis will emerge when a big country gets in the deep doo-doo. Then a major crisis will emerge. But the likes of Greece and Ireland and all that, the amounts of money are too small. They're not going to let it happen. The integrity of the whole European thing is not going to be compromised just by one country, especially a small country getting into difficulties. So it's not going to happen. But it gives you a good insight into where the two-tier thing is going to happen. You know, the two-tier thing is going to develop. You're going to have a mainstream, and you're going to have what would you call them? A lumpen proletariat within Europe. All the pigs. So anyway, so we'll just monitor it and see what happens. The next thing I want to talk about is Morgan Kelly. Great favourite of mine, as you know, and he's a professor of economics in UCD. And what they've done is they call him the doom merchant. And the reason to call him that is because this is a man who shoots from the hip. This man does not bullshit. He does not prevaricate. He just says it like it is. One of my great economic heroes here in Ireland. One of the few. One of the few. There's only about 3 or 4 of them, and he's one of them. And there's no messing about with this man. And everything he says is all backed up with major, fundamental, and economic criteria of the first order. I mean, it's all highly researched and well thought out. And as I say, there's no bullshitting. And he's not pinning his future on any political flag or any of that nonsense. No. This is his subject, and from what I can see, he's a master of it. And a brilliant article in today's Irish Times. It's called "The Doom Merchant Whose Warnings Don't Seem So Far-Fetched Anymore." And it's the old story, you know, when you're the only one, when everybody else is all slopping like pigs at the trough, and you're the only one else is saying, look, hold on a minute, there's a volcano in the distance and it's about to blow up, and all the pigs are too busy slopping at the trough to worry about the volcano. You do seem a bit isolated and a bit out on your own. and then all of a sudden the volcano explodes, and they stop slopping, and all of a sudden they're too fat to run away from the volcano, as it were. You know what I mean? Their crimes have caught up with them, as it were, and so it is with this man. So I think it's a fantastic article. It's written by a girl called Louise Holton, and it gives you a great insight into Kelly, and he don't take any prisoners, and it's well worth the reading. And as you know, I've gone on and quoted from the Irish Credit Bubble, his recent it's about a 30-page article he did, Morgan Kelly did, and I quoted from it a lot, and it's a powerful tour de force on Irish economics and how we arrived at the state and where we're going, and the whole debacle that is NAMA and what he thinks about NAMA. And it's just fascinating reading. It's brilliant reading. And he's gone from being an outcast and been condemned out of hand as being a nutter to being basically eulogised, because everything he said has come to pass. What do you do with somebody who makes the right call? Nah, he's not. Nobody's saying he's infallible. You don't do it 10 times out of 10, but 8 times out of 10 he's right. But what do you want to do with somebody like that? You want him on your team, don't you? Because he obviously has a greater insight into it, into what's going on, than all these gobshites, so-called economists from the government through in the private sector and in the academic world that he lives in. He obviously has a greater insight into it than they have, so he knows the subject better than they do. And you must remember, large numbers of these people have brought their, what you would call it, science, or their academic thrust of the general economic overview. They brought it into huge disrepute. I mean, I've often said it, you'd be better going up to Dublin Zoo and getting an orangutan and getting them dressed up like Bertie Ahern and bringing them down to Dáil Éireann and putting them into the Ministry of Finance down there, as you would have had over the last, we had Brian Cowan for 6.5 years, and then before that we had Bertie Ahern. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? A hospital bookkeeper running a sovereign republic? And then with this muppet, this fellow who can't get any more duck in, who's about to burst at the moment, the only young man, and he looks like, I don't know what he looks like, and he's running the country, and he was a Minister of Finance for 6.5 years. I'm telling you, the orangutan would have done a better job, 100%, because all you need to do was keep him occupied and give him a load of bananas and let him do puzzles all day. That's all. And talk to him gently, and he'd come up. He'd probably, if you'd have given him, if you flipped the coin a few times, well, the coin flips, it probably would have been to the advantage of the Irish people, than letting the ravens and the lunacy that these two men have come off with for the last 11 years. Cowan on one hand for 6.5 years, and then before that we had that other lunatic Ahern, and now we have a man who's been given the poison chalice and who's not up to the task, a man who's seriously ill and shouldn't be doing the job in the first place, and who hasn't a clue anyway what he's doing. So anyway, I don't want to go on about it, but that's the way I see it. And I want you to have a read of this article if you get a chance. I think it's a powerful article, and it gives you a fantastic insight into this man. I've been going on about this man from I started these these video posts, and I've gone on about this man, and I won't stop. I think he has a massive insight into it, and he just says it like it is, and I certainly recommend it. So put the link up there to the Irish Times article and you have a read of it, okay? Then I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to have to leave this. I thought I was going to get the final thing in. I'll do another little post in a minute or two, okay? Thanks very much.